If I don't do this and I'm on my deathbed, I would definitely regret it because the $10,000 isn't worth it. The $10,000, it is what it is. Hello, beautifuls. My name is Giselle, co-host of the Strong Sunflowers podcast and founder of G is for Growth. And today I wanted to make this video of helping you make a decision that you won't regret. I know as humans, there's a lot of things that we regret, especially like big things, small things, all types of things all throughout our lives. And I wanted to compile on how I make decisions on my everyday life, whether it's a small thing or a big thing, to really not regret anything and stick to my decision at the time 100%. And if that's something that you're interested in learning about, make sure you subscribe, you like this video, share it with your friends and family. But without further ado, let's jump right into it. I think to build the foundation, it's really important to read the 4 Agreements. I freaking love that book, but it just helps you be more self-aware, and you have to be able to sit with yourself in that moment in time of your life and be okay with that decision. I feel like a lot of people, when they get more information later on, they get frustrated, and that's where a lot of the regret happens. It's like, I should have never married this person. Like me, I got married at 19. Oh my gosh, I should have never married him because we ended up in divorce. But at that time, I thought that was the right decision for me. I didn't use these patterns, but I have to think of like, hey, I didn't have that future information. You can't depend on the future information. So I think that's very important because people get really stuck in that, and that's how you like get into these cycles of like, man, I wish I could have done that better, and you can't enjoy the present moment. I think one of the most important things when making a decision, just think of what are my intentions. So thinking about, does your intention align with your values? For example, a really good book, Dare to Lead by Brene Brown, she talks about the values, and a lot of our core values is how we lead, correct? I'll put a list of those values right here. You can go check it out on her website. But for me, a lot of my core values have to do with honesty, respect, loyalty, and trust. Those 4 things literally run my life. I need to be able to trust you. I need to be able to know that you're loyal to me. I need to be able to know that you respect me. And usually all those fall together, right? Because if you respect someone and you're loyal to them, you're gonna be honest and they can trust you. But for me, those are my non-negotiables when making a decision, especially when it comes to ethics, right? Like, what are your ethics, your core values? Like, if it's something that I have to lie to someone about, I'm not with it. If it's something that I have to break someone's trust about, I'm not with it. If it's something that I have to be unloyal to a person or a friend, a relationship that I've cultivated for a long time, I can't do that. So again, knowing your core values is really important when making a decision, because if you go against any of those core values, you're gonna feel like shit. Whether that's in business, whether that's in your personal relationships. Another thing that I love about the 4 Agreements and the 5th agreement, if you wanna elevate even more in your mindset, is that he says the further we are from who we are and our core, the more misaligned that we feel. That's where we get anxiety, depression, all those things. When we're not aligned to where we're supposed to be, we feel it. And there's like that huge tug. So making sure that everything in our life aligns with our core values is super important to not regretting a decision made. I think number 2 is really important because in a world that we live in, it's really chaotic, it's really busy, we're always doing something, right? For my example, myself, I have this amazing YouTube channel. I'm in the process of creating an app, which I'm also filming and bringing you guys on that journey. I'm also working 3 jobs. I work in the morning, I work in the nighttime at a restaurant, in the morning in a restaurant, and I also babysit. I also have a podcast, the Strong Sunflowers podcast. Go check that out, subscribe. But all of these things, I also have everything else that I'm trying to create. Again, this is a one-woman show. I edit my own videos. I film my own videos. Everything is on me, right? It's a lot, right? Because all of these things are creativity. All of these things require my time, my brain power, my mindset, and it's a lot, okay? But with all that being said, calm and stillness is so important when making a decision. Whether that's a simple decision of like creating an app, whether continuing to doing this YouTube channel, whether continuing to do a podcast, whether continuing to work 3 jobs, you know, you really need to be in a calm state and be able to sit with yourself and be 100% honest with yourself. And I think with that being said, also being self-aware, it's crucial to excelling in this life. If you're not self-aware, baby, you're gonna be doing all the things that you keep saying, oh, I'm not that. Of course I'm not that. When everyone around you knows that you're that. I'm not a Karen. Yes, you are. I'm not a gold digger. Yes, you are. I'm not materialistic. Yes, you are. And these are just examples. But again, the more self-aware you are with yourself, the more that you can really get to the core to make that decision that you won't regret. A couple of years ago, I got the chance to go to Hawaii, and I went on this hike, and I got the blessing of being alone on the hike, and there was like a waterfall, amazing. And I got to go in it, and I couldn't really see the bottom, and it was a lot of rocks, so it was a little shaky, and there was a lot of ripples because I was moving and trying to figure it out. And I feel like when we're trying to figure it out, sometimes we create more ripples and more chaos in trying to figure it out, in the sense of like making a decision and then going to everyone you know and asking them, hey, is this a good decision? Hey, should I do this? Hey, should I marry this person? Should I even get in a relationship with this person? Do you think he's cute? Do you think that we would be good together? He told me this. Like, you're getting way too many outside voices. And sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, the only voice that you need is yourself. Sometimes we do need like outside expertise, but at the end of the day, you're gonna come back to yourself and reevaluate like, okay, with all the information that I have received, what am I gonna do now? And that's when being still and calm comes in. You really need to be in that space. And I remember when I was in the waterfall in the little pool underneath it, and I just stayed still. And all those ripples started to dissipate. And I could finally see clear. I could see the bottom. I could see where the big rocks were, what the little rocks were, like where to put my foot. I could see all those things. But that's because I took the outside noise. I took the chaos out. So coming back to yourself and your center is so important, and making a decision you won't regret. And back to being 100% honest with yourself. For example, I'm in the midst of creating an app, and I had this amazing idea, which I think is amazing. And for the people that I have talked to in the app development world, they're like, oh my gosh, this is like an amazing idea. Yeah, I would totally love to do that. So right now I'm in the process of choosing who I'm gonna go with to develop this app. And full like disclosure, you know, like the app right now it's gonna cost me between $10,000 to $15,000. Do I have $10,000 to $15,000 laying around? No. So I'm using this analogy right in what I'm doing right now. One of the biggest things that I ask myself also whenever I'm making a decision, whether it's big or small, if this goes south, how am I gonna feel? How am I gonna feel? And is that gonna be a feeling, a temporary feeling, or is that gonna be a lingering feeling? You know, it's like, oh my gosh, for example, if I can go back when I bought my first car, and I went to a pay here, buy here, never do that. Never go to a pay here, buy here. I would totally be like, is paying $800 a month for this car a good idea? Hell no. How upset would I feel if this goes south? Like, I won't have a car, I can't afford this car. You know what? A week later, I actually returned my car. And I actually lost my down payment, but I was totally okay with it because moving forward, I knew that I had more options. And I did. I bought a brand new car, 0 miles from the dealership, with a lower interest, a lower monthly payment. I actually paid that car off a couple of years ago. And you know, like, I'm so glad that I made the decision to take that loss of the $2,000 that I deposited and then move forward to something that I believe would be better. But even right now, as I decide to create this app, they're asking for about $10,000, $10,000 to $15,000 to create this app. And these are the questions that I'm asking myself, like, how would I feel? Okay, I invest these $10,000, $15,000 on this app. I believe I have an amazing idea, but how would I feel if this goes south? Is this gonna affect me permanently, temporarily? How am I gonna react to this? Because yes, it's easy to manifest and envision, and of course do that, to envision like it doing everything that you want it to do, but then when it doesn't go your way, you're like, shit, that was a horrible decision. No, right? Because we make a decision with all the information that we have at that time. So right now, that's where I'm at. Like, hey, would I regret not going for it, taking that risk? I just created this video about just taking all the risks in your 20s. I just saw this Mel Robin video, and she was like, one thing I fucked up on in my 20s is I didn't take enough risks. Go for it. Do the thing. Write the book. Start the podcast. Start the YouTube. Spend the money. Like, create that business. You never know. Like, something like this can change your whole life. And that's a risk worth taking. And I feel like we also talk about deciding. We always talk about deciding between this or that, right? And for the most part, the hardest decisions are made when you're deciding between a good thing and a better thing. You know, when you make your pros and cons list, and it's not like pros and cons, because both have really good pros and little cons. So you're like, oh my gosh, what to do? In this situation, you have to trust your gut. You have to trust your intuition. And it's really hard because some of us have shut our intuition down so much and things like, no, you're crazy. No, like, stop. Like, these little voices in our head. But our intuition is there to guide us. And it really, when you talk to people that have made the decision from like either working at a 6-figure company to starting their own business, it's like, why did you quit? You're crazy. Like, you were making 6 figures already. It's like, I know, but I really had this gut feeling, this intuition that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And now they're multimillionaires. And that's how I feel about this app that I'm creating. I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm going for it. I'm taking the risk. Another thing that I would like to point out is, especially when you're making decisions of things that cost money, right? Or things that cost your time. Making sure, does this bring me happiness or does this bring me joy? Because baby, those are two different things. And Atlas of the Heart, Brene Brown talks about emotional intelligence and kind of like goes over like your emotions and like how to like navigate them, what they are, and how to like work through them. But happiness is an emotion, you know, and it's fleeting. Like, when people buy the like super fancy $500,000 car and then like a year later, it's just a car. You got that high from the beginning, but now you're like, whatever. That brought you happiness, but it didn't truly bring you joy. So asking that question is really important. For me, I love traveling, and I could never tell you like any vacation that I've ever been on that I regret coming home and not spending the money on it. I regret nothing. Those vacations have brought me so many memories, so many experiences, and so much joy of just even thinking that I was blessed enough to do those things. So traveling for me is worth every penny. You know, for someone else, it might not be. But you have to really find your joy, not just your happiness. And the last thing that I want to leave with you guys is looking at things from long-term, short-term, and deathbed. Like, if you are freaking dying, are you going to regret this, right? So if we break it down, long-term, when making a decision, let's go back to me creating this app right now, right? So making this decision to create this app, I had this idea, I want to execute it a lot. I just was watching this video and it said a lot of people that have a business idea, like 3 out of 5 of them never execute, never even go for it because X, Y, and Z. Everybody has their own demons that they're dealing with that don't allow them to execute the idea, or they're scared, fear, whatever it may be. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be that statistic, especially if I'm feeling so strongly about this. I really feel like it could be successful. So I'm thinking long term, right? So long term, if this idea that I have for this app is successful, this can be life-changing. This can redirect the trajectory of my life and give me bandwidth to create everything else that I also want to create. Like, if you guys don't know, I feel like when I talk to you guys, aka my viewers, it's like a personal, you know, we're having a personal conversation and we get to know each other, and it's kind of like my open diary to the world of people that want to be in my field, right? And grow together. For me, I would love to start a hair care line. I would love to start a bikini line. That is a dream of mine. I would love to invest in real estate, of course, as well as like small businesses. Like my dad has this tire shop business that it has like a van, and then they go to your house and change your tires there, so you don't have to go to the shop, which I think is an amazing idea. So I'm like, hello, I would love to invest and buy more vans so you can put more people out there, you know? So I think of that and the possibilities of what that comes with, you know, investing those $10,000 to $15,000 in this app development. And I'm like, okay, long term, I like this. And I also think long term the other way, right? If the app doesn't work out and I lose $10,000, I'm like, long term, I mean, I've lost $10,000. Like I told you guys before, I lost $2,000 returning that car back to the dealership. I have lost $5,000. If you guys don't know, I was pre-med, and maybe I'm still am, maybe I'm not. I don't know. I still don't know if I want to be a doctor and go through all that. But to go to medical school, you have to take the MCAT. Like I have spent a good $800 on trying to get into medical school and paying for the exam. I have spent thousands of dollars on buying the books, the courses. They're expensive. Medical school is not for the poor. Let's be honest. It's very taxing, it's very expensive just to even apply to medical school. So I've spent thousands of dollars on that. So when I think of like long term, I'm like, it's not really gonna affect my future. It's not gonna deter me from like doing great things or starting another business or anything like that. So okay, and that part of making my decision, I'm like, yeah, we're going for it. If we think of it short term, right now I am 28 years old. I have no kids. I don't have a life partner, a husband. I live with a roommate in an apartment. I don't own any property. I'm still paying off my car. So then $10,000 to have in the bank as backup for me if anything happens with this economy, inflation, all those things, is really helpful because it takes a lot of stress off my shoulders. So I had to really think of like, hey, can I even afford to pay $10,000 on this app? And I was like, okay, technically I can make it work. It's gonna require some sacrifice. I'm gonna have to work a little harder, but I can come up with the money, you know? So short term is not too bad. And then again, like I said, if it does go well, like, oh my gosh, like this is life changing. So, okay, we got another check. I'm going for it. And then deathbed, like, am I gonna regret this? And I was like, if I don't do this, because this year, from last year, God was like, I have this huge plan for you. I have this huge thing that's gonna happen and you're gonna win. You're gonna win. So why am I doubting it? That's first. But it was like, this year, I just feel like it's my year. It's my year to do the thing that I need to do. And I was like, if I don't do this and I'm on my deathbed, I would definitely regret it because the $10,000 isn't worth it. The $10,000, it is what it is. You know, I have to change my mentality, and my mentality is pretty good with this. But if, for example, just in general, like when we are scared, because we're here in the bottom, right? And we're scared, like a millionaire losing $10,000 is nothing. To a millionaire losing $1 million is nothing. Their mindset is built to like find solutions. Okay, we lost $10 million here. Big whoop. We had to go bankrupt. Big whoop. We're gonna start another company. We're gonna try this again. You know, so not letting that deteriorate me from creating and making my big ideas come true, because the money comes and goes, right? So I just hope that this has helped you make an idea and sticking to it. And even if in the future you get more information and you're like, you're never gonna like beat yourself up because you made the best decision with the information that you had at the moment, at the present time. You can't compare 28-year-old Giselle with 19-year-old Giselle. You cannot compare 28-year-old Giselle with 27-year-old Giselle. So making sure that we are being kind and loving to ourselves. I love you guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Ciao.